The crossover we never knew we needed. Welcome to Playing the Field, the Bachelor podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Field, the sports anchor at WABC here in New York City. Joined now, as always, this time via Zoom, all three of us. Jen Matarese, our Bachelor expert from here at WABC in New York, and Gina Sirico, our Bachelor insider out there at KABC in Los Angeles. Ladies, hello, welcome. The Bachelor world is buzzing, and for good reason. Taylor Frankie Paul is the new Bachelorette. We obviously know her, the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. She comes with a little controversy surrounding her as well. A lot to talk about. Jen, your overall initial thoughts when this announcement was made?
Initially, I was like, oh gosh, why did they do this? This is a lot of drama, but we know they like drama, right? And I don't know. I was kind of looking forward to someone from the franchise, but this is a new opportunity for them to bring someone from the outside in, drum up new support for the show, get some new eyeballs on it. So after hearing the Call Her Daddy podcast and watching it on YouTube, I kind of came around, and I'm looking forward to this season. How about you, Gina?
I am as well. I mean, I think it's a shakeup that Bachelor Nation is already talking about and is going to continue to talk about. She is, I will say this, I've met her. I interviewed her at the premiere for Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. She is compelling TV. She is compelling TV. That second season of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives was like insane. There was just so much going on. And so for me, I think it's going to be really interesting to watch her. First of all, I think the audience from Secret Lives and Mom Talk, they have millions and millions and millions of viewers and followers. And I think they're all going to be locked in to see kind of what's going to happen. Like you said, new eyeballs on the show. So it's going to be interesting from that perspective. I think she is raw. She's unfiltered. Listening to that podcast, she's going to be she's going to be interesting as a lead. And I kind of can't wait to watch it all.
Yeah, listen, she was a fan favorite on the show. She has millions of followers on social media, TikTok and whatnot. But she does bring, as we said, a little controversy, domestic abuse, the whole thing with the swingers, where she had eyes for somebody else. She's a mom of 3. So not that part is controversy, but she is definitely unlike any other Bachelorette contestant we have had before. She was on Good Morning America this morning when they made the official announcement. And here's what she had to say about her journey now as the Bachelorette.
Obviously, starting a relationship on reality TV can be rocky, and I know that going into it because I've experienced it. I've also seen relationships from my friends on the side that are great. I would love to have that.
Will Mom Talk survive you as the next Bachelorette?
I think so. I think we'll survive this one.
And I think the big thing is, and listen, you guys talked about the podcast, and we saw the interview on Good Morning America. How about, Gina, just the part where we thought this was going to be a Bachelor that was supposed to be next in line, and then they pivoted and made this a Bachelorette announcement, which, we got the preview on the Call Her Daddy teaser the other day with the pink cake. Kind of just your initial thoughts in terms of how this all came about, where we thought we were getting one thing and then the switch up happened.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that they're shaking it up. They tried to shake it up this summer with Bachelor in Paradise and changing that format. I mean, they're trying new things, and I am into it and I'm for it. People were kind of it's talking about the fact that it's somebody that Taylor is not somebody from the franchise itself, and everyone's so used to that, and is that going to turn people off and all of that. I find it to be a really interesting choice. First of all, we're so used to Bachelor Nation making celebrities, and now we've got a celebrity coming in, and it kind of changes everything about it. I'm really what I'm really interested in actually is the casting department, because they have their work cut out for them. Because on the podcast she said, she's like, I have 3 kids, 2 from 2 different baby daddies, so I'm not leaving Utah. So that person has to be willing to move to Utah, be willing to be a stepdad. And she didn't talk too much about wanting more kids or anything like that. She did say she was open to him having kids. So expanding a family is not a thing, but like there are some specific things that the casting department is going to really have to like find some unicorn of men here to, kind of fit what's going to happen here. And so it's going to be interesting to watch.
Jen, we talked about when the whole switch up happened with the showrunners and how the Bachelor and Bachelorette was going to try to reinvent itself, if you will. This is kind of a step in that direction, is it not?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's sort of a crossover event with the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives now. And I actually wonder, she says she's still going to be a part of, we're going to see the next season of the show come out. So how does that go together with what we're going to see coming up on her season of The Bachelor? So as she said, it's going to be the closing of one chapter, and then that's going to be the next beginning, her being the Bachelorette. So I think the show's going to have a lot more people like myself. Like I saw the first episode and I was like, okay. And, I just sort of, I don't know why, but I didn't get very into it initially. But now I'm going to rewatch, I'm going to watch the first season because I want to know what's going on. And a lot of people obviously like it. And then I think you're going to have a whole new audience of people watching that season 3, which is in November, they said, right?
Yeah, and November 13th.
Bachelorette should be January, correct?
Yes, they said next year. Yeah.
That's next year. So it looks like, we don't know. Right at this point, the assumption is that this is going to be in January in place of a Bachelor. We haven't heard anything about a Bachelor season. So that'll be, we're interested.
Is it a case, ladies, though, where we thought they just couldn't find a good Bachelor that was going to make a lot of headlines, so to speak, and that's why they pivoted? I mean, have we seen this before in Bachelor Nation where they do kind of a 180? And I mean, this was basically unprecedented.
Yeah, they haven't done this before that I could remember. I think, usually they just introduce a new show or something, like you get Bachelor in Paradise, or you get some like Golden Bachelor, or you get like a shakeup in that regard where there's something new coming. This is just like a complete switcheroo. So it's fun in that it's unexpected. It's someone we weren't expecting. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. And like you said, Gina, what kind of men want to date someone with 3 children? They're willing to take that on. It is, I have 3 kids. It is a lot of work. So, I mean, they're signing up for carpools and dance lessons and sports and all of that kind of stuff, I assume, because she wants this person, she said, to be a part of her life. And not being on TikTok with her is a deal breaker.
Yeah, I found that part to be hilarious. Yes. If he's not going to be in her TikTok videos, he's not for her. She also said that he does not have to be of Mormon faith. So I found that to be interesting as well. I don't know, girls. The thing that I feel like that jumps out to me about this is kind of a double standard, right? It's like if they brought in, you two were fired up about what Mel said about not wanting to date anybody over the age of 60. Now you're bringing in a female that has a history of domestic abuse and she's been arrested for it. To me, it almost seems like,
by the way,
charges
right, yeah. Right. But she was in handcuffs, arrested. To me, I feel like if it was a guy that they had brought in to do this with this same past that she has, I don't know. I feel like the reaction might be different. Maybe that's just me being the guy in all of this, but I feel like there's a little bit of a double standard here. That does not take away at all my excitement for this. I do think it was a smart pivot on their part. I thought it was smart to get Call Her Daddy involved, which we all know the massive following that podcast has. So the crossover and everything, I think, is great. But if people, I think, are fired up about the Mel comments, I can only imagine what Bachelor Nation is going to be talking about with her, given her quote unquote sketchy past and what she's now bringing to the table. But I do think it was smart for The Bachelor to kind of throw caution to the wind at this point. I mean, the franchise has been kind of, going through the motions, I feel like, outside of the Goldens in recent years. So if you can really shake things up, I think this is the time to do it. But I just feel like there may be some red flags along the way. Feel free to discuss.
Well, we all right. Well, we have all voiced our opinions on like Guy from Joan's season and Devin from Jen's season about their past and all that. I think you brought up Mel. I think it's a lot different in that there wasn't an arrest or anything like that. Were we fired up because like the show, he was talking about like things that he didn't want and it related to the show itself. It was like people from 45 to 60 are not golden. And that's why that was a big deal to people. This obviously, yes, it is interesting. It is an interesting choice, especially considering they got a lot of flack over the Devons and Marcuses and the guys and like all of that. So it is an interesting switch up. We'll see how Bachelor Nation reacts and handles it. Secret Lives of Mormon Wives fans, they already know all of that. So it's going to be interesting to see.
I don't want to make excuses for her really on like what happened. However,
and she doesn't make excuses for herself either.
No,
like she doesn't.
But she, like, hearing her, she did discuss it on the podcast, and it was very heartfelt. She did her best to own it and say exactly what happened. And it sounds like something she's incredibly regretful happened, and a period of her life she's glad she's moved past. But I know what you're saying, Ryan, and a lot of people have commented that on various posts that I've seen online.
Yeah,
that's double standard. So.
And listen, it is what it is, and I'm all about giving everybody a second chance. And yes, she was very remorseful in the podcast on Call Her Daddy, and hopefully now at 31, she's ready to begin the next chapter of her life with her 3 kids, and she meets an amazing guy on The Bachelorette, and everybody lives happily ever after. That will make, I think, everybody happy, and we'll be happy to talk about it when that season begins in January. In the meantime, we are 2 weeks away from the Golden Bachelor teeing off. We had a chance to meet the ladies on Mel's show. They were announced on social media. So we've kind of gotten little snippets of what's to come here for Mel's season. And our good friend Gina was lucky enough to be in Los Angeles on Sunday at the Rams game where they had a Bachelor event. Mel was there, and Gina had a chance to talk to our new Golden Bachelor. And here is how that conversation went.
And you're here because you are our Golden Bachelor. We got to get to the tough stuff first, and then we'll get to the fun stuff. I mean, just talk to me about, like, it was the comments kind of heard around Bachelor Nation. Just talk to me about, like, after it was made and after you were hearing the kind of blowback a little bit, just tell me, like, who was it in your life that was like, bro, like, we can't do that?
Well, one of my friends, Diane Dietz, she's a deputy commissioner of the Big Ten. And we went to school together, and, you know, she's the media person in the Big Ten and second in charge. And she goes, Mel, come on, man, what are you doing, right? So I had to sit down with her, and we, you know, talked, and she goes, get your act right. And I apologized, and the women, you know, accepted it, and I tried to earn it back, and I think I did.
How was it when you stepped into that mansion, knowing that some of these women knew kind of what had been said before, like, How were you feeling? How were they feeling? How did it all kind of square out on that first night?
Well, you know, I think on both sides we were nervous, you know, and I apologized, you know, right when I went in, and I wanted to make sure they understood that I was very sorry for it, and I was going to try to earn it back, and that just gave me another chance, and they did, and I thought I earned it back.
There were some women who I know of that were like almost didn't come. So, like, because of it, you know, tell me what you want people to know and kind of like what you want the fans and Bachelor Nation to know about this season and about you, that, like, so that they'll watch and they'll tune in.
Well, first of all, the women are amazing, right? So tune in for them, because they're the ones that are going to carry the show. It's so energetic and sophisticated and put together, right? They're great, and I learned a lot from them, right? I had, you know, I had different expectations, but, you know, again, you know, the things I said were insensitive and unfair, but they gave me another chance. But tune in for them, because they're the one who carries the show. They're great.
What were your nerves like on that first night? Because obviously, like, look, anytime a journey like this is about to begin, you know, there have to be nerves. So what was that? What was it like when you stepped out onto the kind of the driveway of the Bachelor Mansion as the limos were coming up?
Well, it's like pregame. No matter what happens, you know, you're going to have butterflies. If you don't, then it's not important. And it's important. And I had butterflies. I was nervous. I was, you know, frazzled too. And then, you know, as the women were coming up, we're going, hey, I'm nervous. You're nervous too. But then there's a certain calmness of it when it's sort of like all done meeting everybody and you walk into the mansion, there's a certain calmness because you know that you're in it together and you're going to make it work. And from that point on, the nerves were calm and we went forward.
Gina gets the exclusive with Mel, the one-on-one. So, Gina, your overall thoughts? I mean, you had a lot of thoughts on Mel, as we've talked about ad nauseum on this podcast. Once you had a chance to meet him and talk to him, have those thoughts changed?
I feel like nothing's changed. Obviously, the comments were not great, and he owns up to that. I find it, he had no problem saying, like, yes, I made a mistake and I was insensitive and I apologized for it. I think I said it during, I forget, maybe Kathy's, or April's, I don't remember which, but it's just basically that we listen, but we don't judge. It's that whole, that part of it. So I listened and I'm not going to judge. I'm going to be very, very interested to see how the season plays out. These women knew going in what he had said. And there were some who I know for a fact were like almost didn't go, because of this. So, they went, and they kind of implemented the we listen and we don't judge. And they went in, they gave him a chance. He apologized to them. He talked about that. And, they talked it out. He talked about it, in a group setting. And I think they also I think some of them gave it to him a little bit whenever they had one-on-ones. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. He says he's happy with how it ended. And we'll all find out soon enough.
And Jen, you've been as vocal about Mel and those comments as anybody. After listening to Gina's interview, have your thoughts changed about our new Golden Bachelor?
I feel more willing to give him a chance. Let's put it that way. I don't like what he said. I still think he seems kind of like a player. I definitely get that sports guy player vibe.
Well, he is a former athlete, we should point out.
Pro athlete syndrome, definitely.
Mm-hmm. But I think I'm curious to see how his journey goes. I always hope anyone who's the Bachelor or Bachelorette can find love and happiness with their journey. So I think, I don't know, he seemed to have a twinkle in his eye when he said he was happy. So I'm hoping that means something nice.
Leave it to Jen to measure the twinkle meter in someone's eyes.
It was also very sunny and hot on that field. It could have just been that he was glistening.
Glistening, yes, from the...
On the other side of that camera was very much glistening. It was very hot. But
listen, that SoCal sunshine can really hit at times. Let's be honest about that.
It felt like I was on the surface of the sun, and it really did.
Well, listen, we said I had a chance. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. One thing I will say, he said there, if during my interview that on that first night when people were coming out of the limo, he tried not to make snap judgments, which I am I'm thankful that he did that because I feel like, that is helpful to him to not immediately judge someone on their looks, on their age, on all of that. So I think that is going to be interesting to see how it plays going forward.
And we got a chance to see the women that are going to be on the show. They were introduced on social media. I mean, there's a lot of smoking hot older ladies on this show, and Mel is going to have his pick of the litter. I found it interesting that only one was under the age of 60. There was one 58-year-old, and I messaged you two, and I said, that's the one he's going to pick, based on what he had said before.
A golden rose.
Right, so the golden rose. That's it. The show's wrapping after the first episode. He wanted to see their birth certificate or their driver's license, found out when they were born, and that's how we went about this. But I thought, we see the women jumping into the pool. They seem to bring a lot of fun, a lot of energy to this season. And Jen, I think Mel's going to have his hands full.
Yeah, they have a lot of energy. They have a lot of opinions, it seems. They know what they want. They are there to hopefully find love. And I think that there's some interesting people among the group. I remember one of them, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's the mother of twins that are like social media stars. So, yeah, I think she'll be interesting to watch. And we'll have to see. Some of them look much younger than their age, many of them.
Absolutely, they do. So Mel's obviously going to like that. Gina, final thought on this. Comparing just based on what you've seen of Mel, how he's going to be different from Gary, do you think, as the Golden Bachelor?
How he's going to be different from Gary? That's a good question. I mean, here's the thing. And when we met Gary, he was definitely like, you can't really compare them. I'm going to just put it out there. You can't really compare them. They are two different, they come from two different kind of lives and scenarios. Gary was, his story in the beginning, he was a widow and his kids wanted him to be happy again. And it's a completely kind of different situation than Mel, whose former wife is still alive, as far as I know. He's got two younger sons and young, and has younger sons. They were there on Sunday. I didn't get to talk to them, but they're like high school-ish aged. So the family dynamics and kind of like the backgrounds are completely different. So I don't know that you can really compare them, to be honest.
Well, listen,
I can't remember that was like 77 though. I don't see him going.
By the way, that was I think that was Sandra from Gary season's twin.
Oh, how about that?
If I'm remembering the person correctly, yeah, that was
And maybe it was a slight troll job by the producers. Look, Mel, you don't want somebody under 60. Here's a 77-year-old
who does not look it at all.
She does not look it at all. The ladies are beautiful. It's going to be an amazing season. We can't wait to watch it all unfold. Jen, if you like our podcast, what do you need to do?
Like and follow.
Like and follow. The Golden Bachelor premieres September 24th on ABC, Hulu, and anywhere you're streaming your favorite ABC programming. Thank you so much for being with us here again today. For Gina and Jen, I'm Ryan. We will see you next time on Play in the Field.